everybody, this is Gail. Welcome to my hashtag Bodacious channel, and this is my special guest, Pipsy. Say hi, Pipsy. Pipsy has just discovered that we have a mirror over here, and he can't figure out who the dog is in the mirror. So we're going to cut him a pass for a couple of things that he might do, a couple of antics. But anyway, thank you all so much for letting me switch the live stream last night to take me out for a birthday dinner, and that coincided with Saturday night. So thank you for letting me switch it to Sunday. So we are back here. Let me see who all is in the chat. Let's see. We have got Norfolk and Western Railroad Man is here. Peter Parker was here and looks like he was here and bounced out. We've got Women's Station Channel here, and Valerie Reese and White 2-Pack. So, hey, White 2-Pack. It's been a while since we've seen White 2-Pack, and I want to thank everybody else for hanging out. I miss you too. I keep, like I see your notification pop up about your live streams, and then a lot of times before I can get to a quiet place and get to see your live stream, poof, it's gone. So it's like this phantom deal. But I'll keep trying. And Pipsy will keep being Pipsy. What are you doing? I don't know what Pipsy's doing over here. Anyway, tonight I've got an unboxing of a little dehumidifier. I know you're all enthused about the box. It's really small. It only holds like 27 ounces, but it's designed for like a small closet or an RV, trailer, bathroom, just small enclosed spaces. So I'm thinking it'll be good for the van. That's what I'm going to use it with. And oh no, I hope she's going to be. Let's see. White 2-Pack is saying that he's been sick 3 weeks and says his mom had the COVID. So I'm sorry that you've been sick for so long. I'm sorry that your mom's had COVID. I hope you both get to feeling better. It's nothing to mess around with, So I think you all know I'm a long COVID patient over here. So I really emphasize with what you're going through. So do everything the doctors say and get to feeling better fast, okay? Please. Okay. Hey, sir. Hey, Pipsy, come on up here. Come on up here. I've got a little fan running over here, and I think that's got Pipsy confused too. What are you doing? You are just comedy tonight, aren't you? So anyway, we are going to do this unboxing of this it's a mini dehumidifier. So again, it's for small, tight spaces. So closets, RVs, travel trailers, and hopefully a van. And the reason I decided to look into this is because y'all know I did the portable washing machine review, the mini washer review a couple of weeks ago, the Zenny. And yeah, so when I do the laundry in the van, I wound up having laundry spread all over the inside of the van. So it will occur to me that maybe what will help it, yes, good high five. It occurred to me what may help this move along a little faster as far as reducing drying time would be to get a little dehumidifier. And so what I'm thinking is it only holds 27 ounces. It's supposed to pull 1.5 cups of moisture out of the air at a time over a 24-hour period. That's false. Okay, well, I can't say it's false. You're going to get out of the air depending on how humid it is. So I'm really thinking that since all the clothes are just going to add to the humidity, that I'll get more. If I do, I'm just going to go ahead and take the water and I'm just going to dump it into the washing machine the next time I do laundry, or put it outside and put it on the ground, especially like if I'm at the desert Southwest, make sure I put it on a plant because it's clean water, as clean as water from the air is going to be. So I've been told for plants and environmental uses. So plus, you know, you can always throw a little bit more water in the washing machine. It's not going to hurt anything. So let me get in here. Peter has had some information about some tests he had. Other tests done to make sure there's no cancer. Okay. Well, keep us posted. I hope those tests turn out okay. It's a really scary time when you're going through something like that. So, all right. So, White Two Pack says, I've known you a long time. Yeah, it has been. It's been a while. And that's so cool about YouTube because you do make connections with other people and other channels. And most of those connections, you know, you don't lose them, which I think is so cool. But anyway, for me, YouTube's been a real blessing. What can I say? Are you being nosy? Yeah. Fire is about the same size as the little portable air conditioner that I did, which also will be good, I think, for the van. And just for a size comparison, here's the dehumidifier. And I'm actually using the little air conditioner. So there we go. So there's the size comparison between the two. Size. Big Tom's van is here. Hey, how are you? I'm here. Pass those tests, Peter. Amen, amen. Iron Fire Horse is here. So hi, Iron. Welcome. It's good to see you, Irene. So, okay, this has got a really small tank. And it's not going to be super powerful. I can already tell you, I would not use this in a basement at all. Because it's not going to be the best dehumidifier for a basement, but hopefully it'll work out okay for the van. That's what, of course, we're planning on. Let me get the directions out as far as opening this up. We'll look and see what's got in it. And it came with little instruction book. I'll turn that right side up. Came with the instruction book and warranty card. It's got a 24, and it says if you're happy, share it on YouTube, and if you're not happy, contact them. Is that inside your van? No, actually, I'm in the travel trailer for right now. The van is a complete mess. I was originally going to do it in the van, but we are recreating the entire van. And right now it's got wall particle stuff all over everything and pieces of template scattered everywhere. I thought it would be a lot neater to be out here in the RV. We've got both because when my husband's with me, he doesn't like being in the van, the two of us being so crowded. Because we really, as you guys know, in a van, you can't really spread out that much. So if one of us wants to compute and one of us needs to take a shower or take a nap, it gets kind of tough. And the rest of the space that we have in the floor is taken up now by my little sidekick over here. Hey, up. Forget the cat. Come on up. Okay. There is a cat out the door. And you can't get that. So here we go. It says, read the manual carefully before use and keep it properly for future reference. So, and it just talks about the power, defrost, LED light, water tank, DC port, tank cover, and floater. Fire is plugged in. Press the on button when it starts to work. The ambient lights will turn on automatically. Hey, you over here. No. And if the internal is frosting, the defrost defrost function will automatically trigger to protect the unit. Now, I don't know how this is supposed to defrost. I really don't. What this looks like here. Okay, so the little tank slides out. You are about to get in trouble. Come over here and sit down. There's a mirror on this side too. Okay, so this comes off, this off. They have got the cord packed in here in the center. Sit. And it's just your standard DC cord. Plugs in. She's done so much with it, it's neat. Thank you. I wouldn't want anyone else in my van with me, LOL. That's kind of the point, though. Yeah, I like the van. You know, and people have said, well, if you've got the travel trailer, why do you still want the van? I want the van for when I do solo female travel coming up. So hopefully I'm going to be leaving for New Mexico Tuesday. All right. So here we go. Plugging this in. And it just plugs into the back here. Right in the back like that. Used to it because it beeped at us. It's got another little tipped card in here. It says for the best dehumidification, we recommend that you place the dehumidifier in a small area. Keep the doors and windows closed when using it, which is exactly what I'm going to do because I'm going to be using it to take the moisture out of the air when I do the laundry. Whoops. Put the lid back on it. And we're going to slide it right in there like that. And it should be ready to go. Yep, there we go. And it's got the little mood lights going on. That's supposed to add ambiance. So I really don't know why it's got the mood. A lot of people are going to like it. For me, it's not a selling point. Let me see if I can turn it. Okay, so you can turn it off. You can set it on different colors. I'm just going to leave it off. The buttons are right on the top here. You can just barely see them on the top. Right, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this run while we're doing the live stream, just like what I've done. We're just going to see if it happens to pull any like small drops of water out of the air. So the amount that you get, the amount of water is going to vary wildly. It depends on how humid it is. That's the way all dehumidifiers work. If you're in an area that's got humidity above like 60%, you're going to pull a lot more moisture than you will if the humidity is like 20% or so. So keep in mind, and that's because it's going to change how often you need to check and drain the tank. For me, that's not going to be an issue because it's going to be in the van. And I can just glance over for where I'm planning on putting it, and I can see immediately, you know, how much water it's got. One of the reasons that I chose this particular one is because it's got a clear basin. And I thought I like clear. I didn't want color. I want to be able to see at a glance and tell how much water is in it and make sure it's clean. Now, Big Tom's fan is pointing out, filter the water and use it for dishes, etc. You can make coffee with it, but I haven't. Now, I haven't thought about that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use it in the washing machine. So, because I can save it up and use it in the washer. Let's see. Iron said, so yeah, not much room for much, but more than adequate for me. I love it. And that's the thing, you know, get what you like. You are in trouble. What are you doing? Okay, I'm going to put, hey, down and stay. I don't know what he's running around here for. Anyway, if we collect them, I don't know. I don't know if you want to drink it or not. That's up to you. I'm probably just going to throw it in the washer or put it on plants, especially, like I said, if I'm in the desert Southwest where they don't get much water, I'll probably put it on a plant. But hopefully this will do the trick. I'm pretty optimistic because I am looking at a small space. I am looking at pulling moisture out of the air for clothing. So I don't have the needs that somebody with like the best household dehumidifier. So, you know, I don't need to look for the best dehumidifier for a bathroom because I'm only going to be needing it short term in the van, you know, while my clothes are hanging up. And I will add that, of course, the more moisture you have in the air, the more humidity, the more you need something, or your clothes are going to be forever drying. So, and if y'all want to see on the washer, I've got that linked below. It's the Zenny portable washer. It's the little mini one. And I got to tell you, it washes clothes like great. I think it actually does a better job washing the clothes than my washer in the house. It does not do a fabulous job spinning. You still have to wring out some of the clothes. But I think for t-shirts, socks, underwear, things like that, I think it's fine. Oh, iron's being silly. Okay, on that unit. It is, I saw that. It's not much. Not 23 watts is the rated power. I'll hold that up and see if you can see it. Also, I've got the Amazon link down below, and that gives you some specs. I'm going to pull it up too. But 23 watts is what it's rated. You can tell it's not much because it does not have, it just doesn't have a big motor in it. Let me see if I can get my husband to bring the meter. He's using the meter, or he was, but he might be able to bring it in. Okay, I'll message him. Oh, Iron got a Blue Yeti. Wow, they forgot to send a charging cable. No, that's awful. What are you going to do without the charging cable? Okay, Peter's saying good night. So good night, Peter. Thank you for coming in. Keep us posted on those tests, and we are going to have you in thoughts and prayers and hoping that you come through those. It's their littlest one yet. Okay. I hope I didn't mispronounce that too much. You up here. No. He's going crazy because of the mirrors in here. Pepsi, we just got him on the 19th of last month. So he is still acclimating to being with us. He's had a hard time. Here comes the meter.
Hello.
Hi.
Which meter did you want?
Could you check for certain watts, volts, and amps on this bad boy?
Maybe you need this one.
Okay.
Maybe go. I'm too dirty to be on TV. So.
No, you're not.
Hi. Hello. Oh gosh.
Watch him knock over the entire table.
Okay.
So I'm going to hand this to him, and I'm going to let him play. My live stream is buffering. Oh no! I'm sorry. I don't know why. I'm on full internet. So
right.
I'm gonna.
Where's the plug?
You can plug it in on your side.
Okay.
You up here.
Okay. Hello, YouTube. Let's see.
It's actually got a built-in mood lamp. I guess you could call
Oh, it does? How cool is that? Hello.
Okay.
Let's see.
I knew you had the meter using it for stuff on the van, so I wasn't sure you'd be available. So thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, how do we turn this thing on?
It's the buttons are on the top. The
Okay.
one on the. Okay, you got it.
It's pulling. Right now, it's pulling 20, just shy of 23 watts.
Okay, 23 watts. He's saying just shy of that. Candy is in. Hey, Laurel. Candy, the wee service dog, has just come in. She says she's not having any problems with the live stream. Good. So the buffering could have been on his end. But anytime you get buffering, do let me know. And how is it?
Still dropping a little bit. It's actually just above 22.
Okay.
Let's say it's staying within a watt.
So between 22 to 23. Does that help, Big Tom Stan?
Yeah.
Let us know. He's trying to himself. I really can't say he's trying to be a good boy. He's kind of trying himself. We are in the RV, and there's a CAT out the window. And it's just interesting with him right now. And I think, too, he feels like he has to be working 24/7, even like during playtime. So, but he's doing okay. Okay, so now it's dropped to 21.8, 21.9, and back down 1.8. So, yeah.
You just let it run if you want to.
Hopefully, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Alrighty then. Okay. Do you want to go with me? Well, I guess we could go.
Okay, Pipsy, go with Dad.
The only way or something. All right. Don't block the door. Let me out.
And for those of you who got a little glimpse of his tail, yes, I have indeed dyed his tail purple.
Who's a good boy?
I don't know that they can see it now. Okay. But it's purple. And I get more comments on him and about.
Boy.
And the reason I actually had thought process behind doing the tail, and that is because there's like what, hundreds of labs out there per square mile, just about. They are the most popular in the US, most popular dog. So if I lose him and I have to call a shelter and they're like, what animal? Oh, at least that's how I perceive them to go. But if I say you're looking for a yellow lab with a purple tail, it's a little more distinctive. 230 watts, maybe. I don't know. It says 23 watts, but so no, not 230, 23. And he was pulling between up to just under 23, 22.8, 22.91, that kind of thing. So hopefully it helps. We'll just see if it pulls any water in the length of time that we're sitting here. And what I'll do is I will let it run until this time tomorrow and then come back and check it and see if it's got water in it. We are in such a high humidity, we're just dying. So it should pull a fair amount of water, I would think. So, yeah. Yeah, Iron Fire Horse says that's a good idea, Gail. Yeah, I just thought with as much as we travel and going to New Mexico next week, and then I'm going to be coming back, and then we're going to be going back to New Mexico in September, and then hopefully to the beach. We'd hope to go to the beach in New Mexico. My daughter, for those of you who are just catching up, my daughter had a preemie back in May. We were planning on her being home around the time of her due date, which would be the first week of August. But what has happened is she's having a little trouble coming off of the oxygen, and she's still having some low heart rate drops. So they want her to be before they send her home. So she's not going to make it in time for her due date. But I committed to going out, and I will be going out next week. I'd already committed to that. I'm going to help set up the nursery. So like I've got the van, and we are going to be taking a chunk of her nursery furniture in the van. And so I'm going to go on out with it. Then of course come back. I'll come back the first week of August to be going out in Timberley. Hopefully the baby will be home by then. That's the plan. That's the plan. So, with that traveling plus trying to get to the beach, it just made sense to try to make them a little bit more distinctive, just because there's so many labs. So, I think because he stays next to me. So, how much does the baby weigh now? 5 pounds. 5 pounds. She like within the past day or so, she was at like 4 pounds, 15 ounces for like a few days there. And now she's up to 5 pounds. She's 36 weeks along in a few days. So, so she's still very tiny, but she's ahead of the 1 pound, 15 ounces that she came in at. So she's a little behind where they want her to be on weight. But, I keep telling my daughter, I said, the fact that she's breathing on her own without a ventilator, and the fact that she is eating at all by bottle, that was the other thing. They want her to be completely bottle fed or breastfed. I mean, she's not supposed to be here yet, and she's able to do all of those things. So I told her if she stays in the hospital a little bit extra, or it's for her own good, and to try not to stress about it. But But that's easy for me to say, because I'm the grandmother, and her mom, my daughter who had her, she was 4 weeks early, but I had toxemia. They have no idea what caused her to go into labor that early. But, I'm just trying to keep her focused and on the bright side of things, because when you have somebody that's sick, it's easy to get that goes. You've been there, So whether it's the cold, whether it's the flu, whether it's something super major, it's just when you're sick or somebody is sick, it's just easy to get bogged down. So we're trying to keep her positive. Yeah, and the child's just lucky. I swear she's just lucky that her name is not Interstate 25, because she got to the hospital about 30-40 minutes before she actually goes through registration and getting taken back to the room and being seen and all that jazz. So I figure she was just back there, a few minutes before she delivered. Neonatology didn't even get in the room before she delivered. She said that the neonatologist was running into the door at the same time the baby was coming out. So, really cut it close there. Let's see. Iron says it would be really hard. I had mine, but close friends have had preemies, so I know how it can go. Yeah. It's and it is kind of touch and go, like right there at first. She didn't know for a couple of hours if the baby was alive or dead, and they could not sedate her and her husband was out of state. So she was the only one that could have made a decision about the baby. So they couldn't just sedate her and knock her out. So, yeah. So it was tough. It was tough. It's a long story about how things came together to get us and everybody out there. And I've talked about it on other videos and don't want to bore y'all too much. But anyhow, that's why I'm going out to New Mexico. I am going to be stopping at various places along the way. Hopefully see a couple of things and do some little YouTube videos, probably some vlogs. So if you all have suggestions on something you want to see on something else too. I have a note to remind me of 2 things. One is to invite everyone to click the like button if you haven't already. Please, please, please. And the other thing is, over on my Instagram, I did a little post about Love's travel stops. They now have some of them. They're just at the beginning stages. So right now there's only about 5 places, but they have RV parking spaces that you can rent with full hookups. So what we paid was like $45 with tax and everything. So that's the price of a full-size campground. But you could still drain your tanks, take your shower, whatever you need to do right there in the van or RV. So it's got the convenience factor going for it. And we did it during the day instead of at night, because I wanted to get some clothes done. We'd been docked for a couple of nights, or dry docked, whichever you would prefer to call it. Walmart parking lot, another truck stop. And then, so by the time we found it, my husband was like ready for electricity, So, but it was nice. They also, if you're traveling with a dog, they also have the dog parks. So we were able to get the campsite, which you have to totally reserve and everything online. You walk up to the kiosk, you punch your buttons, follow the prompts, and then go hook up. But we were able to do that and get gas and use the dog park and let him run for a little while. And it was a nice few hours there. So let's see. Okay, that's why I said nothing for a bit, just held my breath when I heard, because, okay. yeah, I think it was a tough thing. And like people go, oh, you had a grandbaby, great. And then they go, oh no. So I totally get it. I think I can get campsites in provincial parks for half price. Go for it. And I had wondered too, the national parks here in the US have the access pass that you can get for free. I wonder if you might be able to tap into that if there's some kind of reciprocity agreement. I just thought about that this afternoon. I haven't had time to call on that, but do let me know if you check into it and find out that's the case. Let me know, because that would get you campsites for half price here. With Station Channel, nice. And she says with her car accessibility permit, that's wonderful. Oh, Big Tom's fan says, so did you watch Outdoors Embrace video about Reflectix? It's eye-opening. I've torn my walls and ceilings out to redo. No, I did not. I am not sure. I follow them, but I have not gotten a notification on them for quite some time. I mean, I'm going to So yeah, I follow them. I'll take another peek at that. What have they said? Can you give me a brief synopsis? It must be pretty bad if you're ripping it out. Unfortunately in our van, I only have it. Well, I have it in the windows. The window coverings have the Reflectix, and then I have it up in the ceiling. But I've taken some of the ceiling down, and I have used the fiber from Misfits Market boxes. They're a produce company, and you order online, and they send it to you like HelloFresh and those kinds of things. So I've actually added insulation with that. So right now I have got some pink insulation like shoved in the doors and stuff, and we've done the ribs with the expanding insulation. And I've got in the walls, I've got the 1 inch of the styrofoam with the reflected side on it, and I've got 2 inches of the Misfits Markets insulation because we had a lot of that. So yeah, Iron says, haven't found anything else, and I've been looking for free or cheap. I would be interested in that video at Big Tom's Van. Yeah, we'll definitely have to check out for it. But that's concerning because it must be a very big deal if you're going to go through and rip it out, because that's not just a real quick 5-minute process when you start taking walls down. Iron says, what's the video called? I can't find it. Is it recent? So, I don't know. If you're replacing insulation, you may want to go over to my Instagram and look at where I stuff the Misfit Markets insulation all in the walls, because if you know people who get any kind of produce box or food box, I know you have different brands probably up in Canada, but it might be worth asking if you could have their packing out of the boxes. It's fiber. It's like what you would do like quilts with. So everyone is doing it wrong. Okay. And Iron says she's designing her van's ceiling and walls right now. Uh-oh. How are they doing it wrong? Are they relying on it for insulation, or are they relying on it to reflect? Iron says, some people say Reflectix are garbage, usually people who do high-end vans, so it's hard to know what's best. Reflectix is designed to reflect heat. It's not designed to be insulation itself. Okay, I'm going to have to look at it. So, you know, it's... I'm using... Oh, no! Don't use pillows. Like, seriously, if you know somebody that's got those food boxes coming in, or maybe you can post on your Facebook group in your local community. Because, like, I would love if somebody posted in my local community saying they wanted insulation for the boxes, because I could, like, hook them up. Because I was saving it to be able to use it in the van. So, like, we have everything I saved, but we also get more, like, every week. So, okay, he says you do it right, R21A. Okay, interesting. Oh, and Iron says they have $100,000 rig. Can't see their info being helpful. You never know. And they could have started out in a little van that they did themselves. Like, you know, unless you see exactly how they began, it's hard. Like, I talked to somebody who had a really big RV, Class A's, but when he was a kid, his family, they took vacations and stuff in the van that his dad did, like, back in the 70s. So, which is how we got started talking about it. I was out in the van and he commented wanting to know what I had on the roof. And I'm like, well, that's my solar panel. Like, you know, it's kind of obvious, but that's how we got to talking about the van. Outdoors embrace. Yep. Iron says now that she's, but it's, you know, you also bring up a good point about their info maybe not being helpful, because they are coming at it from a different perspective unless they have the background. But I think with anything on the internet, I think you just have to take everything with a grain of salt and watch 3 or 4 videos on the subject before, whichever subject you're researching. You know, watch 3 or 4 videos on it and then decide what sounds like the most reasonable. You know, if they're all telling you the same advice, because if they are, there's a higher likelihood that what they're saying is accurate. So Iron says, nah, I have to use only what I have. It's been really interesting, LOL, so far. I love my floor and bed. Okay, I'll bite. How did you do your floor? And how did you do your bed? Because like me on my bed, we just did one of those slat beds that pull out, and it can go from a twin size on up to almost a full size bed, which is fine for me and the dog. It's just not fine for me, dog, and the husband. Because he likes his space. And I will say that having the RV has been good for, like, medical things, because I'm through 3 hours now from the doctors that I had, because when we got transferred here, I was like, I have to keep my doctors. So I'm still going to Knoxville from Virginia whenever I need medical care. And oftentimes, if I have to be there at like 6:30 in the morning or 7 for labs, we'll go down the night before. And the trailer has been helpful then. So, oh, it's just an E150. Okay. Iron says, I can send you a link to a video of my awesome $85 insulated floor using no power tools. So do that. Do that. I don't remember seeing your video on that. I will go back and look for it. If it's on your channel, I'll find it. Women says she looks forward to watching your channel. Iron and says, how long have you been traveling? Women's Station Channel is a pro at this. I did a video where she came on and talked about her experience with having a child and being out camping and the length of time and everything and what she did and how the sun was. It's all in that video. It was pretty cool. Oh, you have them in private. Okay. Candy, the wee service dog, says, good night, Gail and everyone. Allergy, Benadryl medicine is making me sleepy. Hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great week. You too. You too. I hope the Benadryl will knock you out and you can get some rest. Okay. And Iron says she has that video in private, so to go look at it. Good night, Candy. Iron says she can't edit and made too many mistakes, but I can show you, and even your hubby might be interested. Yeah, he might be. What we have now is I have styrofoam insulation, and then I have OSB board. On top of that, we put a layer of linoleum because that's what we've used since 2015 when we first got the van. But now we're ripping out the linoleum because it's gotten torn in places and stuff, especially, putting boxes in and out and stuff for mission trips and baskets and things like that. So we have a carpet remnant that I got, and we're using that now for the floor. I've got it cut. I'm just waiting on getting some more work for the walls done because we're upgrading the solar. We're putting in a second battery, leaving room for the third, things like that. Moving the solar from one side of the wall to the other side of the wall. And so I don't have the carpet down at this moment, but should be going in tomorrow. And we got a new air conditioner in the back of the van. We talked about that some last week. My husband actually cut the hole in the door of the van. Would rather have had a heart attack almost than to have cut the hole in the van. But he did it. So yeah, major changes to our van. And I am super stoked about it. So Iron says she showed a couple of van lifer guys that were really intrigued by what she did. Nice. I'm looking forward to it. Iron says she'll watch What's Up There Now. Iron says, take care, Candy. And Women's Station says, yeah, the guys are taken back by us being out there and what we do for it. Yeah, well, I don't think it's so much just guys now. I think that the world in general is having to get used to car campers and vans and RVs and travel trailers being out there much more now. And certainly, as we all know, the whole van life has just exploded. We started in 2015 and there weren't that many out there. People gave me a hard time about having the van. I got it when we first drove to Alaska second time we drove, and people were just totally confused. Why do you have a van? Why are you going to be in a van and you're going to be traveling? Are you safe in the van? Is this really a good idea? And I heard things like, that's just weird, and like I was a wacko and I might be a nut job. Then first thing was we went to Montana on a mission trip, and we went to Mississippi on a mission trip. So they started kind of warming up to that a little bit. And then the next summer when I went to Alaska that first time, that just kind of really blew their minds. But I think it blew it in a good way. And then when people started, kind of paying attention, and I'm talking about friends and family, and started realizing that the places that I was going and going inexpensively, of course, this is before gas cost you an arm and two legs. Like when I went to Kansas in June, the highest we paid was $5.34. So I'm grateful it's coming down. But van travel has typically been, your least expensive option, at least as far as what I've found. And when people started realizing all the places that I was going and how inexpensive it was, then that started changing the perception a little bit about how family and friends looked at me, and regarded the van travel, because I was like, look, when I'm taking mission team stuff up, if I'm sleeping in the van, I'm also providing security with the tools and the electronics and all the supplies and everything that we had stuffed in the van. Every inch of the van completely stuffed. And that's part of the reason why we got the van. So there's been a general change of perception, I think. Now, Irene and Big Tom's van and Lori, what do you guys think? Have you seen that or not? How do you think society is about this? Do you think they're a little more accepting or still kind of freaking out? And I'm not talking about the YouTubers, but the everyday people. And let's see. Iron says, thanks. I just hit the button and bell for you at Women's Station channel. Great. Connect. That's what drew to you and Lost on Land and Vicky Van Gogh drew me. Got that. Great. Big Tom's fan says he watched the AC video. Great. Good. I'm hoping to have more videos on that as he goes through the process. He's got, basically he's done, we're putting a wooden trim around the outside of the AC. And of course, it's on solar. We upgraded the AC to get one that's more energy efficient than the older air conditioner than what we have. So we're going to be donating that one. For those of you who were just checking in and didn't see the air conditioning video, that's what we're doing. It says both. Some are accepting, some not so much. Okay. Lori with Women's Station channel says, I think they're intrigued and have their own thoughts now. Yeah. Big Tom's fan is also joining the other channels. Excellent. And says, yeah, I'm on rebuild 7 now. So Big Tom's van is on number 7, which is also a great thing about having a van and having a DIY job. You get exactly what you get tired of it, you can change it. And like with us, our needs changed when we got the travel trailer and the small trailer that I took to Alaska this last time that had the team stuff in it. I don't need that giant cabinet I had in the nest taking up all that space. I don't need it anymore. So let's rip out the cabinet, upcycle the wood, turn that into a bath cabinet, and go from there. So that's what we've done. And the tub/shower area is one of those battery operated USB rechargeable showers and a stock tank. And for those of you who are not familiar with a stock tank, it's just that. When you're talking about stock, I'm talking about livestock. So we've got that tank, and yeah, that's what I'm using for the water. And I'm stoked about it. Hey, Lost on Land again is in. So hey, Lola, how are you? I'm really glad when I got my van. So first build out ended up being perfect. So lucky. There you go. Big Tom's fan says sprinters and transit people are different. Yeah, I think so too. And I think there's a difference in not just their attitude, but all around. Because I've come across sprinter van peoples in rest areas and stuff. And they've not been as friendly and as down to earth as those of us who are in like Chevy Express and Ford Econolines and Dodge extended passenger rebuilds. So yeah. And that's so frustrating too, because you would like for this community, and realizing that there are all different levels of van life and travel, and yeah, it's just not that way all the time. So and Women's Station says, yes, Iron, the emphasis of being homeless in a van is an issue. Gail has addressed that. That's true. And I kind of feel like I have to apologize to the entire world for being from Tennessee. We have they've just made it illegal as of like July 1 to be on public property camping, but they're defining camping by any kind of overnight activity, whether you're in a car, whether you're in a van, whether you're in an RV, and you decide to go to a public park and pull over for the night. It's now you're looking at a $50 fine and potential felony charges. So they claim, here's the crazy thing. Like, they claim that it's probably not going to be enforced. I'm like, no, you wouldn't have it on the books if you weren't planning on enforcing that at some point. Like, it wouldn't be there. But they're trying to get the homeless population, and they're lumping everybody into that. And yeah, I could go off on that for like a week. But anyway, homeless needs more services, not more tickets. Just saying. Let's see. And Iron says, hey, Lost on Land, I'm going slow on my build. So hopefully I get it right the first time. So far, my floor and bed are great. Awesome. Lola's also saying, always have a permanent address and always say you're on vacation, even if you're a full-timer. It gets you and LEO off the hook. Okay. That's a good idea. So, Tom, it seems the reasons seem to be the differentiation. And Big Tom's van said he did exactly that. Lola says the bed is the most important part. Yeah. Well, I don't want to say the most important part. I can do an air mattress just fine, or a sleeping bag in the floor just fine, because with my back, I do much better on a firm surface. But I really like having a place to wash my hands. So I like my sink. Women's Stational Channel says, have done that, Lost, and says, I was always at campsites, thank goodness. And Iron says she can park overnight all over town because she has a sticks and bricks house here. If I lost my home, it would be illegal. And Women's Station Channel said, but my reasonings would be questionable. Big Tom's fan says, oh, that sounds good, Lost. Well, Iron, I find that interesting. Coming from Lord Irene at Iron Firehorse says, I love my bed so much. I threw out my big bed from the house and brought the one I made out of the garbage in here. LOL, Lost on Land again. That's awesome. That is awesome. And that's the other thing that's good about DIY, because you can apply it in so many different ways, in your house, in your van, and I was realizing, we were talking the other day, and there were some storms that went through, and it was like, we were again reminded about how having the van life experiences has factored into our ability to weather a storm. So like, if the electricity was to go out, we have the solar. We would probably park the van behind the house so people couldn't see that we had solar. And let them like charge their phone, do their laundry and stuff like that. We can cook with a solar oven now. Some basic stuff. I mean, I'm not going to throw a roast in a solar oven, but I can do some other things in that, which I wouldn't have if I didn't have the van, and I wouldn't have the DIY skills. So you were talking about your bed. We actually made a bed for my office. I've got a twin size bed in there. I also use it for a day bed. But we didn't have the van experience. Isn't it funny how it all works together? I just love that. Let's see. Lola says, I tried just sleeping in my van all over town for a week. Got the knock one night. If I didn't have my real address, it wouldn't have ended as easily. Okay. I'm glad you had that. Big Tom's van says, the van police, I got to go. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Big Tom. Good luck with that. Thank you for stopping in. And Women's Station Channel says, I had a kid when I was questioned, lost. Try going through that. I go, you know, that's just heart stopping because you're doing your best for your child. That'll leave you alone. Just saying. Women's Station says, I hear you, Iron. I had to have a blow-up mattress in my tent. Blow-up mattresses exist for a reason. If they wouldn't keep making them, they're wonderful. Oh, shoot, Big Tom's van, speak of the devils. Yes. I hope that he'll, like, update us later on how this went. Because the knock is terrifying. So, and I've also found I have a tendency to get pulled over more in the van than I do, like, in the car, even when I'm not speeding. Like, I was in West Knoxville, minding my own limit, maybe 1 or 2 miles over, and got pulled over by the cops because it was late at night and because I was going the speed limit. And I even asked the officer, I'm like, oh, yeah, and I'm in a white panel van? And he's like, oh, well, and he didn't say yes, but he didn't say no either. And I was like, good grief. And this was a few years ago. So what happened was the little light was out. And I was like, oh my God, I just got this fixed. I am so sorry. Like, here's the receipt. Here's the other bulb. I am so sorry it was out. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I guess a lot of cops wouldn't have pulled you over. And I'm like, probably not. So, I mean, he was nice, but like, gee whiz, like nowadays, I'm glad that was a few years ago, but, and he did some things he probably shouldn't have. He asked like her license and, really he didn't need to do that, but she just got off from work at 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm not arguing with a cop. So it's like, whatever you want. So anyway, Women's Station says she was camping and traveling in her car. It was actually comfortable. And Iron says, a blow-up mattress I couldn't do with my back. I gave up camping altogether. So this van life thing is great. Big Tom's fan, how did that go? Your knock. How did that go? And Big Tom's fan says, I camped at Harrison Bay last week in an RV site and didn't use the plug-ins. See, yay, good solar. So we use the plug-ins if my husband's with me because he's got a CPAP. So between running the air conditioner for a couple of hours and then using his CPAP, I left. So we usually use the electricity. But I'm like you, with solar on the van, I just don't need to use their electricity unless I'm doing a lot of laundry, in which case I'll go ahead and hook the washing machine up to their electricity and just get it all done. I can do it. It lasts about 4 hours. But if I have a lot of laundry, especially if it's the two of us, I sometimes can't get all of it done. Women's Station Channel says she was still in her 30s. Iron says, I just bought a cheap solar panel. I hope it works. LOL. I do too. I also hope you got it on Amazon Prime or someplace great like that. Big Tom's fan says, yes, Iron, I couldn't sleep anymore in a tent anymore. Yeah. You know, you just feel more protected in a van too. I mean, in Tennessee, and a storm came in. This is also a few years ago. Took down the tree, landed on the campsite next to us. We heard it. We heard the roar, and we heard this loud crash, and it sounded like a tree. It was one of those middle of the night jobs. So, like, we didn't go out of the van until the next morning because of it being in the middle of the night. And I saw that tree, and I'm like, I'm over it. I don't think I could ever get in a tent again. The van. And I feel like, as far as like even the van versus the travel trailer, the travel trailer is mostly fiberglass and cheap vinyl on the walls. Like there's nothing really substantial about a travel trailer. And I just feel like, you've got the ribs and things over the van. So I feel like it's a little more secure. So in storms, I've often wished that I was in the van instead of the travel trailer, but don't tell my husband that. Lola says, I only use solar to charge my phone and computer. I can't run my fridge off it if it's over 70. Yeah, it does depend on your batteries too. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't had any problems running the refrigerator, but mine's just really small. So I think it's like 16 quarts. I don't think it's that big, actually. I got to. So, and Women's Station's channel says, I almost bought a travel RV, but was afraid it would break down at the time. And I had my 3-year-old to take care of. Yeeks. And there's some hidden costs to owning an RV that people don't think about and they're not aware of, maybe. Like, for example, when your fridge goes out in the RV, we just had this happen when we were in New Mexico in May. $1 piece. Fortunately, we had a warranty, so we don't have to worry about that $1,500. But for a lot of people in older RVs who don't think that these things are super expensive, you've got to keep that in mind and you've got to plan for it. So, because everything's smaller, but the prices are a lot higher, which is frustrating. But you can't just go to Walmart and get a refrigerator and expect that your RV refrigerator does. Plus, it's, you're talking about like large dorm size fridges at that point, because even the smallest regular refrigerator from Lowe's is not going to fit in your RV. So like people don't think about that. So buying the RV might not have been the help that you thought it was originally. Big Tom's van says 3 batteries, 540 watts. That's awesome. I've got 2 100 amp hour batteries. We're looking at a third, but I want to get another solar panel. I just have the 100 amp solar panel for right now, so I want to up that and then add a third battery. Iron Firehorse says, yes, Amazon Prime days, $119 CAD, including tax and shipping, 100 watts. I'll never get enough cash together to get one of the good brand name ones. You never know. Amber and John Rivers, I can't think of the name of their channel right now, but she pops in here sometimes. They do not buy expensive solar panels and do fine. So you never know. Women's Station Channel says that's tough iron. Okay, Lola's got about the same as I do now. She's got 2 batteries, about 100 amp hour each. That's what I've got. Pretty jackery for my fridge, but it's only enough for spring or fall, I'm sure. Okay. And Big Times Van says cool iron. Women's Station Channel says I had a block of ice for 3 days. There you go. Big Times Van says got to go again for real this time. Okay. Thanks for coming in. I hope life is doing well. You have a great time on the road. Let's see. Iron says, I got the new Bluetti to swap out with the Jackery while the fridge is hooked up to the other. What kind of fridge did you get? I've got one of the little set powers. Lola said she added a DC charger. Best thing I ever did. I can charge up when I'm driving while charging my e-bike and other electronics, and I use the solar to top it off. Women's Station Channel says solar must be neat. It's helpful. It really is. I like it because I can cook if I want to. I've got one of those little mini griddles, so I can heat it up and I can use that just fine. It is little bitty. I mean, it's not big. And I do have the solar oven, so if I can't heat the griddle, I can drag that out and use it as long as it's bright and sunny. But, for charging your devices, being able to use the washing machine, running a fan, running a portable air conditioner, running the dehumidifier, solar. How about you, Lola? Would you go out without solar again now that you're used to it? Okay, Lola has... Okay, Iron Fire Horse says she has the Vogue RB 23 quart. Okay, mine is not that big. And Lola says she has a Costaway freezer fridge combo. I love it, but if it's hot, my solar can't keep up really. I'm from Texas, so hot means hot. Yes, it does. Do a real solar setup at some point. Yeah. Women's Station Channel says, do you mostly eat canned goods when you travel? Yes and no. I take it by spurts. I'll do a lot of like fresh vegetables. Like I'll go into Walmart and get, stock up and go ahead and do the fresh vegetables like that night. But if I can't do that, or if I'm in an area where I don't think there's Walmarts and things like that readily. So, and things like oatmeal and grits, those kinds of things too. Lost on Land again says, no way to run an AC off 100 watts of solar. No way. I would have to put $2,000 into my system. It depends entirely on how long you need to run the air conditioner. I ran mine for about an hour at a time, 100 amp hour battery. It was enough to cool off the van, and then I didn't have to worry about anything. It was good all night as long as the temperature wasn't like 100 degrees and up. But I was only cooling like about the back third of my van, because on the previous design of it, we had it set up so we could divide it into sections. So the front cab was a section, the storage area was a section. When it wasn't being used for turn on the light, and it became a desk area. So we would have some space between us, and the doors made the barriers between the front section and the third section. So at night, if I just ran the air conditioner, I would run it for an hour and cool it off, but those doors would be open. So I was only cooling off the back third. And like I said, unless the temperature was like 100 degrees and up, then I didn't have any problem. I'd run sometimes less, and it would cool it off, and I'd be fine till morning. So Let's see. Iron says it's pretty energy efficient, and I'm not into doing the hot summer thing. And says, yeah, AC definitely needs a real solar setup. It would help. But I did fine on the one. But we did change it out to get one that's a little more energy efficient. Amp hour batteries. So I should get longer than an hour without a problem. But is it going to do is it going to do all night? No. Is it going to do an hour and allow me to cook? No. So you do kind of have to pick and choose. Okay. Lola's saying it's still 99 here at 7:12 p.m. So that's why I say no way, LOL. Yeah. And it's on how much insulation you have in the van. And the more insulation you have, then the more it's going to contain that cool. And like I said, for me, I was just cooling the back third of the van, and I was good, all night. So, but yeah, but at 99 degrees and up, I wouldn't have it cool that many hours. That's for sure. And Iron says Nutrition Channel. That's why my focus is on having a fridge and running it. Yeah. That helps. But, if you're stopping at Walmart and you're going to spend the night at Walmart with me, I can just go into Walmart and get what I want and use it then. So if I get a small head of lettuce, I don't have to worry about necessarily keeping that cool into the next day and stuff. I can just eat it that night. I do a lot of canned. Yeah, I couldn't do those high heats. Iron says, yeah, sure. Women saying, sure. I can't either. Said by Lola. Lola says, I run 2 fans and cook on propane. That I can do. Yeah. I've got a little USB rechargeable fan and the Max Air fan in the ceiling. And the Max Air fan is wonderful. Now, my husband and I have this constant, which is probably, we have this constant kind of going back and forth about, is it better to exhaust and get the hot out, or is it better to blow cooler air in? And so we always have that going back and forth. Let's see. And Iron says, haven't been able to stand the heat since I was pregnant with my second child. Gotcha. Women's Station Channel. Oh, I lived when I bought a propane stove. That was a dream. Loved, she says. Sorry, gotcha. And Lola says, it doesn't get down to 83 until sunrise around here, so I need to retire. Wow. Yeah. I noticed it was pretty hot when we drove through there last. Iron says that her build is stuff I had or found for free. I'm focusing on insulation for walls and ceiling right now. I wish we were closer, because I have a ton, well, not a literal ton, but I have a lot of the Misfits. I could probably do another van and still have some left over. So, and that's another thing I do, Women's Station Channel. Before I go out of town, I will order a Misfits box, and I will take fresh produce and stuff. So, Women's Station says, oh, Iron, I can't wait to see your videos. You're going to have to go check them out. Check out Lola's channel. You'll love them both. I promise you. Norfolk and Western Railroad is here. So, hey, Norfolk. Welcome back. I saw you right at the beginning there. You were the first one in. Imagine that. I have my AC at home cranked and it's only 85, but it goes down to 65, 70 at night. That's awesome. Women's Station Channel says that's a great idea, Gail. Yeah, it helps. Valerie says she's going to check out their videos too. So Valerie's still here, so hi. Do, because I like their channels. What can I say? Definitely channels for road too, because it's like all about railroad, and like that is so cool. So yeah, lots of neat stuff going on with YouTube channels these days, and some of the neatest is going on as part of the Bodacious community. I mean, like Valerie's channel is amazing, and we just got a really cool community. I'm just saying. Valerie's listening and knitting. You know me, she says. LOL, she does. Okay, Norfolk and Western Railroad uploaded a few videos of my Union Pacific Railroad spikes. I gotta go check those out. And Iron Firehorse says, I'm really hoping to have it together by September when the kids are back in school. I hope so too. Because I know, number one, you're anxious to get on the road, and number two, each stage of the van build, you just feel you get this surge of accomplishment. So, Women's Station Channel has to step away for a minute. That's great. Oh, and I know some of you guys are going to ask about my daughter, who is usually always here, but she and her husband are out celebrating their anniversary tonight, so she is not here. We'll give her a pass since it's the anniversary, right? Let's see. Iron Fire Horse says, other people's kids, not mine, LOL. Norfolk and Western Railroad Man says, I found the Union Pacific Railroad spikes in Durant, Oklahoma last Monday. Cool. I am looking, because like nothing Union Pacific is out east, just as nothing Norfolk and Southern is out west. So that's cool. And Iron Firehorse says she loves autumn. Cool. Now, your autumn starts a lot earlier than ours. I was up in Alaska last time, and I was driving through Canada. It was like late August, or mid to late August, and they were having fireworks and fall celebrations, and the air temperature was noticeably cooler than it was when we got a little further south. So when does your autumn start in the part of Canada that you're in? Okay, Iron says, yes, wish her a happy anniversary. For me, it's been 6 years. I can't believe it. See, Iron Firehorse says it's different every year. Gotcha. That makes sense. Ours, like, we had fall in like October last year, but it like stayed hot through fall. It was crazy. Norfolk and Western Railroad Man says, I like Union Pacific 4014 and Union Pacific number 844 at all. So I got to look those at, because it's totally different than what we have here. And it's the same out there. It's just flipped, I'm sure. So yeah. Homework. I get homework from a YouTube live stream, which is kind of cool. You got to learn where you can. So. And Iron says, sometime in September, leaves come out with fall colors because it was dark. Interesting. Like here, I thought we were never going to get a spring. Like it kept getting cold and kept snowing. And we had the threat of snow going on like even Mother's Day weekend for 2 years in a row. So it's very frustrating. So, yeah. But I was like, I was getting so frustrated with Mother Nature. Like, this, go apologize to Mother Nature. Send her some chocolate. Yeah. So sometime in September. Okay. Now you're further south probably than I was at that point with the festival. I was in Dawson Creek, but even like coming up, I would say I was probably halfway from Dawson's border coming, Canada-U.S. border coming south, before the temperature started warming up. It was noticeably cooler. By the time we crossed the border and got back into the U.S., I was like dying again because it was hot. Because you got used to, it was warm in Anchorage, and so coming back, you got used to the cooler temperature, and about the time you got used to that, bam, it's like so hot and humid that it's like Satan smacks you in the face. Yeah. So Iron is saying that autumn was still happening in October and the beginning of November up north on my road trip last fall. It was gorgeous. Oh, wow. I bet it was. And Norfolk and Western says back June 25th was Union Pacific's 160th birthday. Now, is that not cool? Now, people, we forget how long the train system has been here in the U.S. And this is an example of 160 years because for me, one of the fascinating things about railroad history is how much of it is just hidden now because we have cars and we don't rely on the railroad much. And it's fascinating to me. That's one of the things I like about being out and traveling in my van. Like, honest to gosh, I've had two like really super in my life. And one, I was in Canada and we were in the prairie. I can't remember if it was Saskatchewan or farther up, but it wasn't like Yukon. It may have been British Columbia. But anyway, there was this long train and like you saw it coming. And I pulled over and I swear that thing must have been a mile long. I mean, it is the longest train. And it just kind of went on forever as it went by. And it was just like the coolest thing. And I don't even know why I was so fascinated by it, but it was just really the super coolest thing. And then the other time, we were in Alaska, at the Gulf of Alaska, and we heard the train and saw it coming. My husband is a big train buff. Like, he's the one that got me in it. So like, it's all his fault. And we into this little pull off there, and it was the Potter Train Station Museum. And the Alaska Railroad was coming right at us. And my husband was like, "Oh, this is cool." And I was like, "You want a picture of it?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Get your ass out of the car." So he jumped out just in time to grab the camera, put it on the hood of the car, and start that burst shooting. And so he got some nice shots of it, and I will never forget that. Now, I've seen the Alaska Railroad several at that moment. So anyway, it's just cool. So yeah. Let me get back in here. Okay, Women's Station Channel says, "Oh my gosh, yes, weather. What do you guys do about weather, storms, and whatnot?" Kind of the same thing I do at home. I duck and cover. You roll with the punches. I was in this last time I drove happened every single day. That was major. One of the days was some pretty bad weather in Montana. I mean, on my Instagram, some of y'all may have seen it, my first Instagram account that the hacker now has taken over. But anyway, it had a picture on it where the road was white as though it had snowed, and that was hail. And it hailed so much. My trailer that I was pulling just looks like it had been hit by a hammer just 1,000 times. It was furious hail, phenomenal hail. And I was just terrified. I'd lost my solar panel. But somehow or other, I didn't. But it was so bad. And I've done storm chasing. Okay. So it's like when I say it's bad, I mean it's bad. And at one point, the van and I were going down the road, and the wind was just pushing. We got to a rest area. What I did was I squeaked in. I had to park on the truck side anyway because I was in the van and pulling the trailer, and the little, not the travel trailer, but the storage junk trailers, we call it. And I sneaked in between two tractor trailers. And that's where I spent the night. So that was my way of handling that. But you got to watch the weather forecasts. You've got to pay attention. It's the trajectory of the storm helps, things like that. But, get someplace where you can get cover. Don't core punch. Don't drive through the center of the storm. Try to get someplace that's safe. Yeah. Ask Stellar Piper sometime about the phone call I made to her when I'm like, oh, there's a tornado. It looks like an EF1. And she's like, Mom, where are you? And I'm like, well, I'm at the gas station. I'm pumping gas. And like, I'm okay because the storm's like, get in the gas station. See if they can let you inside the walk-in cooler. And I'm like, no, we're fine. But where it's flat, we can see off in the, and she's like, Mom, she about had a heart attack that night. What can I say? Okay, going back up. Let's see. Iron says, I went up to Thunder Bay, so it was later that far up north, which is cool. Thinking about it. And she says, I love the railroad system. Even a lot of our hiking trails used to be railroad tracks. Yeah, they've converted some of that here too. Norfolk says Canadian Pacific Railroad, and he would be right. Iron says she used to dream of jumping on a train and going for a ride, LOL. Yep, Norfolk and Western says Alaska Railroad, absolutely. I've not ridden on that yet, but Iron says, cool, I always miss it. Norfolk has lots of train videos. Cool, very, very cool. Valerie says she rode the train in Skagway and went to Canada and back on it, which has to be like really cool. Women's Station Channel says you don't rock all over, Gail, in the bad weather. Not as bad as you think, because I have a 15-passenger van Chevy Express, so it is not a lightweight, a big difference. Now, if I was in a smaller vehicle, I was in like a Ford Focus, or back when my daughter had the Sprint, not Sprint, is it Sprint? Smart car. Sorry, brain fog. That one, was a little bit more lightweight, so you could kind of feel the wind blowing a little bit more, but I don't notice it that bad in the Chevy Express. But then, let me paraphrase that with the fact that, so that makes it different. Iron says, hail is not good to drive through, and yeah, your solar panel, yikes. Yeah, I just absolutely was like frantic over this solar panel. Really twice on the trip that time, I got frantic over the solar panel. But that one in Montana, I knew I had lost it. I mean, like, and I didn't, but like mentally, I was just like so prepared that I would look at my solar charge controller and it was going to have a big fat 0 showing me nothing was going on. So I was like, I took a look at the trailer, and I was like, once the storm was over, and my heart just froze. I mean, I'm looking at it, and of course, I knew that I would still have the batteries would have juice in them for a while. So I was just like, okay, I'm not going to look at this. I'm just going to get some sleep, and I'm for the situation until the morning because I've wanted to have daylight so I could see it better anyway. And I just about gave tears of joy in that rest area in Montana over the fact that my solar panel did not have cracks all over it, because I knew I'd lost it. So what I didn't know I lost was the hasp keeping the door closed on the back of the trailer. Just saying. That was another interesting moment. But yeah, it was just something happened like every day on the last trip to Alaska. It was insane. Absolutely insane. You know, between the storms and the fires and the rock slide and the other storm, it was insane. So, but you got to keep up with local information when you're traveling. What's the weather forecast? Which way are you going compared to the way the weather's going, you know? And there's a major storm system and it's moving east, then you know at some point, then you and the storm system are going to collide. So roughly where might you be at that time? Because the weather radars usually have the time for when the weather is going to be at a certain point. So where are you roughly going to be at the time that weather may hit, and where can you plan on shelter being? So if you're at a red areas are storm shelters. So, you know, you got to think about things like that. For me, the biggest wild card when I'm traveling is fire, because it's not on the map. You know, and you can be in an area that the day before when you looked, it was just clear as can be. There weren't any fire symbols on the map, and you thought you would be fine. And then you drive through the area like I did and find out you got fire on both sides of the road. It's just not something that you can kind of work with as well as you can with thunderstorms. So, yeah. Norfolk and Western Railroad Man says, Gail, you can give me a shout out if you want. Okay. Let me see if I can get your link up. I had a complaint that this was buffering earlier, so I don't want to do too much, but I can definitely like link you down in the description box or something. Yeah, it's going to take it a second to come in. 200 railroad spikes. Wow, that is so cool. Women's Station Channel says, oh my gosh, Gail, you dealt with the weather. Yeah, it was kind of insane. Good Windbreakers, Iron Fire Horse says, well, Iron, yeah. You know, I just felt like, you know, those two tractor trailers, one on each side, so no matter which way the wind hit, hopefully it was going to buffer some of it. They might land on top of me. That was a concern after that storm. But then when I pulled the radar, I was like, okay, right now the worst has passed. But you always have to like think a step ahead. Yeah, Iron's like, with tornadoes, it's the luck of the draw. If it's going to get you, it's going to get you. That's my experience. We get a few each year. If I could get to an underground parking garage, I would, especially if we got an alert. Yeah. But with tornadoes, you kind of, okay, in the U.S., the National Weather Service has a free course. It's a Skywarn course, and you learn what sky signs to watch out for, what the cloud formations are, and really what to look for to kind of gauge if you're in imminent danger. So you learn about walk look like, and it's totally free. And now they do it online, which is really cool. And that has helped tremendously, because there's been a couple of times when there had not been an alert out, and I was like, okay, this sky is green and I don't like it. And I have called and said, okay, Stellar Piper or hubby, I need you to get on a computer that's got a bigger screen, because what I screen on my phone isn't giving me the information that I want. And then, like, while I'm on the phone, I was on it with Stellar one day, and she goes, Mom, is that a tornado siren I now hear? And I'm like, yep, gotta go. So that has helped a lot. And for me, that course has given me more confidence. And then I've done some storm chasing too. So it's like all of your life skills just kind of fit together when you're doing van life about. And then van life skills kind of inform the rest of your life. It's just, it's just pretty cool the way that works. So, okay, now, Norfolk and Western Railroad Man, I am not getting your channel up for some reason. And I don't know why. So I will have to, I like giving everybody shout outs, but I got to get your channel up to do that. And this is not cooperating. And I don't know why. But when I copied and pasted it into the search bar, like, it's not bringing up your channel. So I don't know what to tell you. So I'm sorry. And then when I go to, let me see if I can just pull this up. Then when I went in to pull up your channel by like hovering over your name and clicking on it, this is what it gave me. And so YouTube is being troublesome, it looks like. Ah, it flashed. You almost got a shout out. Okay, thank you. There we go. Thank you. So there you are. Yeah, any of your channels that you want to put in, that's great. Also, if you're on a desktop or a laptop, you can hover over the name and right click and go to the channel that way. So yeah. And let's see. Let me go back here to the chat. Look at the draw. Yep. It's going to get you. It's going to get you. My car would rock around too, Gail, in the storms. Even parked, it was bad for me, Iron. See, that's scary, because that was, I don't know. I don't know that I could do that. In the van, I feel more secure, but the van may blow and roll around. And if you have a major tornado, you've got no hope anyway. I mean, prayer is like your only hope. Okay. As Norfolk and Western said, speaking about if you've got a large tornado, his town was destroyed by an F4. So, and it takes a while to rebuild after that, and sometimes you don't rebuild. So, my hat's off to you and your town, just saying, because that's a very hard thing to go through. I know in Fort Oglethorpe several years ago, there was a subdivision, and I was staying with this lady because I was speaking at her church. Look out this window, and you can look through all the subdivision. And she said, every concrete pad that you see, there used to be a house there. And it's because an F4 had gone through. Now, this is before the adjusted scale was into play much. So it wasn't an EF4, it was a flat F4. Scary stuff. But even your smaller tornadoes can do a whole lot of damage. Women, each situation is different. Got to roll with the punches. Same here. Norfolk changed my whole being. It was like a war zone. Iron is bad. Yep. That's, wow. Norfolk, I'm glad you didn't. Now, that was a few years ago, right? And it was like a winter storm. Am I remembering that right? Oh, well, if I scroll down far enough, I see it back in December 21. Yeah, it does take a while to rebuild. Dawson Springs, Kentucky. Wow, that was bad. It's Tornado Alley. Yeah, it's funny. They used to call it Dixie Alley. They'll probably change that name now. But the corner of Dixie Alley, when you look at it on a map, it actually theoretically stops right in between Knoxville and Chattanooga if you're in Tennessee. In West Tennessee, like around the Memphis area and stuff, where it's a little flatter, it goes a little further north. But it's like the maps that I've always seen, it like stopped at Memphis. But yet, you know, you've got parts of Kentucky that should be included in most of those maps, my opinion. But of course, like nobody asks us, you know. And hi, Thomas. It's nice to meet you. And Iron says we were all taught that after our F4 players, there were no alerts for that one. 9 people died, hundreds injured. Yeah. Go for it. So thank you all for posting the link. Iron says, there you go. I wish I was 28. Ooh, sorry. Ex-girlfriend cheated on him 6 years ago. She does. Valerie's a huge supporter and a phenomenal channel. It blew around the loaded semi trucks here. Everything it can come in contact with. You know, it's like, you all know. It's tough. My aunt lost her house to a tornado last year in Kentucky. I remember that. I'm sorry, Barry. Sub to your channel too. F4 we had was in 85, but I remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah, sub to you. Good. Connecting. Good. Yeah, I was in, I lived in Athens, Tennessee, and when a tornado came through there, and it wasn't an F4. I think they decided it was an F3, but it was pretty bad. And like a woman was pregnant, and she was in her mobile home, and her mobile home got rolled. Fortunately, she and the baby were okay. But I mean, you just hear stories like that, and like, you know, about houses that lost their roofs under our carport roof one time. And I was like watching the funnel, but I wasn't watching behind me because like I don't have eyes in the back of my head, obviously. But I was watching the funnel, and I told Stellar, I was like, we've got to do something to get you to work. Let me figure out which way this storm is going. And about that time, the carport roof lifted off that we were standing under. Not my best moment. And the center, one of those columns that went crashing down. And so it was like, yeah, let's just get. So yeah, a tornado can explode a tank truck. Yes. Iron says she spends so much time at her mom's and out of service that she's not on here much. But we're glad for when you can be here. Because it's always everybody else too. You know, we have this wonderful core group. So yeah, and that, you know, that's actually one of the things when we were at Cove Lake State Park and we heard this roar, I was like, oh no. So it's like you automatically start listening for the popping sounds of things like transformers breaking and trucks blowing up and things like that. And you hear that pop, pop, pop. And then you just, so. Norfolk says he also has Snapchat. Okay. Iron says, this is great tonight. I'm at home working on the house and van. So, yay. Cool beans. Let me look over here. Aha. Guess what, guys? This dehumidifier, it's been running since we had the conversation. Can you all see this water? We actually have some water in the dehumidifier. Whoops. If I can, I don't know if y'all can see that or not. But it's right there in the corner. Right there. So this thing actually is going to work. So, yay. I would say probably about a tablespoon of water. But honestly, I wasn't sure we would have anything this quickly. Okay, let me see if I can adjust this. It's that little bubble right here in the corner. I promise it's there. Right here. Oh, Iron's watching on her phone. It's cool, so it's working. Yep, it is working. So, good. Good. So, oh, she saw it. Good. So, and this is not a sponsored video, by the way. So, it's like my washing machine and my little air conditioner and stuff. Like, they're not sponsored. So, the only income is to check my Amazon store, and there happens to be something in there that you like, and you don't have to buy like one of these products, but anything you buy through the Amazon link will get me a tiny commission, which all helps. So yeah, I'm glad it's working already. But we're also in a high humid environment here right now, and so I'm not fully surprised that I got something, but I didn't think I'd humidity. You know, I said earlier that the amount you get is going to depend on how humid it is, and that's very definitely the case. And that's across the board with any dehumidifier. So, well, thank you, Women's Station. I'm glad you're really enjoying it. So, Valerie said she saw it too. Good. The tornadoes, that's not cool. Took 150 of my railroad spikes. There's no telling where they went. Wow. And we are talking about iron railroad spikes. So, yeah, not easy to just pick up. Women's Station says, I couldn't get into your Amazon poo. I'm sorry. I tried. Click through that link. That's what triggers it. But thank you for trying. You know, and the nice thing about it, like, I don't mind promoting Amazon because it doesn't cost you any more to support me, then you're going to pay at Amazon anyway. And Amazon doesn't tell me, like, if you buy something, it doesn't tell me, like, who bought, like I can see that somebody bought like an item, and I might see like the item name, but it doesn't tell me like who did. Sometimes people will tell me, like, I bought such and such through your Amazon link. Like when I was going to Alaska, somebody bought a new camera, and they're like, hey, I made sure to use your link because I know you're going to need the money for the mission trip. So stuff like that. But unless you tell me, it's all totally private between you and Amazon. So yeah. Let's see. Valerie says, I wouldn't want to be around when those spikes flew back down to the ground. Yeah. And Iron says, I wondered that. Yeah, it's all private. So, yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things I like about Amazon is that it is private. And Iron says, I was thinking the same, Val. Geez, owie, yeah. But that's part of being in the South too. Like, I think we all have tornado stories, and they just kind of vary in intensity. Like Norfolk and Western. Like, I can't imagine not just spikes flying through the air, but like the heartbreak of losing something that you obviously are passionate about and obviously care about. So Norfolk says, yeah, I don't know where they've gone. Yeah. And it's similar like with hurricanes too. I mean, everything gets washed away, and like you don't know where your stuff is. That's tough too. That's one of the reasons why I'm glad I don't live. It's tough. Oh gosh, it is 5 minutes till 9. And we usually keep this to about an hour. So we blew right past that tonight. So I'm going to go ahead at 9, and we'll discontinue it and call it a night. Yeah, I would cry about it too. I've actually done mission trips in areas where we have drippers where I have cried, and I didn't have anything to do with the area except just being there. I tell you, you can see it on TV. It doesn't touch it like with you being there. I mean, it just can't. It just does not. So, and I'm saying this for the benefit of anybody who hangs with this point in this live stream. If you ever see a storm situation and you see it, it's 100 times worse seeing it and being there in real life. I'm just saying that. So, yeah, Iron says we've had a lot of tornadoes, but never as bad as the F4 in 85, luckily. Yeah. I'm sorry that you had that. Iron says, yeah, I got to go, LOL. I'm supposed to be working. Ha ha. I hear that. Norfolk says, bye, guys. I hope you all have a good night. Norfolk, I hope you did. And Iron and Women's Station, Lori, y'all, I'm so glad that you came out tonight, and I'm so glad that you connected with each other, because I really think you're going to enjoy each other's channels. Just saying. And Iron says, no, unless you've actually experienced something like that for real, it's hard to put into words still. Yes, it absolutely, absolutely is. So, and Valerie says, I plan on retiring next May or June. I hope to get more involved in missions trips and things. Yay. You will enjoy it. Now, there are some moments that it's just, you just shake your head and you wonder what people are thinking at some of the things that they do. Like, we were in Montana and doing an after school vacation Bible school. And the guy that was this director of the program had us all ride in the vans one at a time when he took the kids home house, and we were dropping kids off. And he's like, you see that big cage in their front yard? And I was like, yeah. He's like, that's where they keep the pet bobcat. And I'm like, what? They have a pet bobcat? So it's like you run into things sometimes that just don't make sense. And then you run into, to me, and then you do things like disaster response where you're in a storm area and it's just your life is reformed. Just saying. Yeah. And Women says, I'm so glad about tonight too. And Iron says, hope that little bitty itty bitty baby gets to come home really soon. Thanks, Gail. Take care, everyone. Thank you for that. We're hoping, but one day at a time. And yeah, I just keep reminding my daughter that she's not supposed to be doing any of this stuff yet. So, any taking of the bottle, breathing and stuff, it's just something you just got to be grateful for and just move one day at a time. So anyway, thank you all for hanging out tonight. Hashtag be bodacious, which means you're not going to let life get in the way of living. So thanks for watching. I'll see you all Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern here on this channel from New Mexico. And I'll see you do a couple of videos, this week. So thanks. I'll talk to you all next week. Good night.